Hey, Leo. All right. Well, a few changes from the last video. So I did the Pisces season. I did this Pisces video before you, and it just felt like my hair was in my face too much. It was just annoying and bothering me, and I felt like the other video, although it was a decent length of time, I almost rushed through it. I took a necklace off, so I'm just feeling super simple, super chill. Want everything to be in its timing, which Cancer knows and Leo understands. And yet, this season is going to be, or could possibly be, a push and pull for you. Mainly pulling you towards something great by pushing you to commit. And it may feel like that, but it only feels like that if you haven't fully dove into whatever it is that you're really wanting to this month. You want to be comfortable. And before we get to the heat of your season, you want to understand what's been holding you back from maybe being more of yourself, being more of what you value, knowing how much you've put into that, knowing how much you actually see the light of the moon more than people think. You get that the moon needs its space to shine. You get why people need space from the sun, why you need space from the parts of you that are constantly giving. You may very clearly come into contact with subconscious parts of yourself as it being right before, especially if you are a Leo rising. The Uranus transit is probably very strongly influencing you, and influencing the way you even see when you come across things that you're not always, fond to see. But then you think about yourself and you love who you are, and it's just kind of like, oh, well, whatever. This is what happens. This is what I go through. This is who I am. I'm going to take this. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go into Cancer season. It's going to help me direct things. You may have some stuff to say about what you've been through, why you don't take a certain normal path anymore, what you do take from that path and how you present it, whether it was a very traditional structure you grew up with. There seems to be the Tower moment is this big spiritual moment for you. So you've had many of those, and we've discussed it, is what I was going to say. We've discussed many of these little like ego deaths almost, and I talked a little bit about that with Scorpios. So you have this, you may come up against this somewhat of an ego death this month. You may understand and come to a deep understanding of how you process. And Cancer season likes to show us how we process, especially the most more intimate details of who we are and in our lives. And this is hitting you in a structure where you may tend to emphasize this kind of philosophy, and now you're being brought up to face yourself. Cancer season brings everyone to face themselves, and then so it washes away what's left over from Cancer season, but then it's burned away in your season around the beautiful bonfire and hashed out and through story and through communication, enjoyment, having a great time and honoring those moments. And you've had that especially very intimately last year, and I think this year might be very similar. You may want to speak, so maybe if you want to start a podcast or speak to people to a certain extent, but also have that boundary of maybe it not being so personalized. There may be certain opinions you have or certain things you've come to internally that's going to start to take place in your life, and something may really shift your perspective. You may come to it may be in the midst of it all. So you may be enjoying maybe a normal tradition with people, and then your philosophy or who you are really kicks in, and it changes the whole feeling. It changes the whole attitude towards the structure. It changes how you present yourself, how you offer yourself, who you don't necessarily like to know, like to be around, or certain people to know how you're actually feeling. You find yourself being conservative in certain ways, but it's because you're protecting this part of yourself. You're just being yourself. You're just understanding that you have a path to protect. You have a plan to protect. And pretty soon that plan will be out there, but the intimate details are still yours. The way you go about maneuvering through this plan is yours. It's your constant personal input. Sorry if I was yelling before. There's noise outside. I find my voice changes sometimes throughout the videos too, because I'm using my vocal cords differently now more than ever in my life. And I'm thinking about this now because it relates to Taurus, which is the Hierophant, but we'll get more into that into the second part. There will be a link below to work with me and to book with me. Just my calendar. I'm fixing everything else behind the scenes, so my calendar link and payment options will be available, as well as Patreon link below for the second part. I'll be adding more. Stay tuned. And the second part then comes out on YouTube at the end, towards the end of the month, if you want to wait for it. But if you want to have a look at what those are, they're already out on YouTube from last month, so you can take a look at that. It usually gets even more deeper. I get to spend more time with you here, which I'm really happy about. But there's something about the second parts that give even more. There's like more refinement in this, and that's something I did want to bring up with you, which is great. So 2 of Wands to 10 of Wands to the Magician. What does that mean? Lots of fire, even coming in before your season. Lots of intuition too. I'll get there, but let me just go back and say that when you, even through the stuff that breaks you down or breaks down your insecurities and breaks down the different parts, it's bringing you even more refined intuition. It's bringing you even closer to yourself, to the depth of who you are and how that plays out in your life very easily, how you get to offer those parts of yourself through this plan, through the work that you want to do, through the hard work that you continue to do. However, when you think about this road, and if you're only thinking about the work behind it, it's important that the Magician come in here and help you shift up how you're doing things, and you listen to maybe Venus and Gemini, Mercury and Gemini as of right now. Venus will move into Cancer on the 17th, but before then, so maybe throughout the new moon to the full moon, the new moon, I'm forgetting in this moment, we'll get into it in the second part, but you'll be coming up to the new moon in Cancer and having that shape shift, things that play out when we get to the full moon in Capricorn, and that will have you take a look at the things that are very physical to you and yet very internally influenced by. Taking a look at the Gemini placements this month, and then the Mercury is in Gemini, and then coming from the Sagittarius full moon in Gemini season, you have a chance to rework your structure that you've already laid out, if you've already done so, in a way where it utilizes your skills so you don't have to be as maybe physically tired or using your body as much. You want to be able to have a smoother sense of business and self in the future. And this month kind of puts you in the middle of it all. You really get to see who you've become and all these different things that have come up over the past year especially, and has brought you to the person that you now are and what you want to take with you and leave behind. And regardless if they're the best parts of yourself, and the people who used to know you don't know you anymore, the job or whatever that is, it shows you what you're afraid of this month. Cancer season shows you what you're afraid of. But then when you come to your season and you're sitting around the fire and you want to tell stories, and some people won't be able to handle the heat or the influence in the story, and here you are sitting around and still sharing and healing. And it brings me back to the throat, which brings me to you guys, which is the heart, and then ruled by the sun, ruled by the heart. And right now is more of an influence on this other part of you that knows what it's holding on to and harnessing in order to give what it gives. If you need to harness more and receive more this month, it's okay to be honest with yourself in that way and pull back. You know you can do it. You know that you do it. However, this will only strengthen the certain way that you've been living and wanting to live and putting your energy into, yet it will influence a influx of change. It will influence a very rapid change in your very close environment in your life. However, it gives you a strong sense of what you put out there and how you want to put things out there. I recently just quit my full-time job, and I wrote this quote on the board that says, it's how I love. It's how I choose to love that is the most powerful. I don't know if anyone's ever said that before, but it's learning from a Leo. It's learning from Leo's season. It's learning how Leos handle their compassion and their love in their life, especially when they need it for themselves as well. I didn't understand, and how that ties into this is this morning, throughout the course of the morning, I'm not usually here at this time. Just to give you a little insight about my life, the inner workings of my life, now that I get to be here with you more. I have a kitty, and the kitty needed my attention more this morning, and sometimes he just asks for it, and if I don't give it to him enough, he'll play out like I think that he's just acting up in order for me to give him the attention. And the more I actually give him that attention instead of yell at him or whatever I do, or, the mom voice, not necessarily yelling, but it's that mom voice, like, no, like I really mean what I say when I'm saying this, because other consequences are harsher for you, or like, I'm not going to play with you every time. Like, this is what it is, and this is how I'm always going to respond. And then giving the love to the kitty that it needs calmed him down, calming my energy, having him match my energy. Doesn't always work, don't get me wrong. Yesterday during the Scorpio video, he knocked down my whole plant, but it's how I responded to it that I think has changed even the course of how we interacted today and yesterday. And I know it's just my kitty, but that's also what sometimes is metaphorically seen as this inner child, this part of you that's playing a role outside of your life. And he's going through like his puberty time where it's teenager and it's annoying and it's like whatever. And here you are in this very blooming area of your life. Not that you're going through puberty, but you're going through this moment in your life where you're learning what's necessary even more. And you know that, but you're learning what it is that you give off without needing much of a validation from the other person's response to you. It's more about the response that you feel. More than ever, it's the response that you feel and that you know that you're giving off. You know that in your plan, working hard is right, and you will work hard because you may enjoy it, you may find it fun, you may find the fruits of your labor fun. However, there's a part of you that has gotten way more keenly aware that you don't want to utilize as much energy. Therefore, there's a skill that you have and a skill that you've acquired throughout the course of this month that has been very much being shown to you right in front of your face, and it's up to you to acknowledge it and take it for a spin and then sharpen it and then utilize it. This month is refinement for you. It reminds me of the sand. Your refinement, the best kind of sand to walk on at the beach is refined sand. Okay, so a bunch of cards fell out over here, and honestly it's too many, so we're not gonna go through them, but there's one card that fell out up here, and we're gonna use that. Oh, look, it's you and a kitty. There's one way to look at this I learned is that the kitty is protecting you. So don't hold back. That's not what I'm saying. No one's saying that here. Don't hold back. Be yourself. Pull back when you need to, because you're being pushed in a certain direction. The only way that you can go with that current as if you pull back in a certain way, and you need to pull back where you can't control, but it gives you just as much power. You know what I mean by that? This month is not a hard month for you. It will bring you into certain feelings and show you certain things, but it's nothing that you haven't seen throughout the course of this year. So it's almost like this ultimate understanding of yourself and the awareness that you have up until this point, and knowing what the fuck you have energy for and what you don't. And if you're being triggered by certain things, come back to yourself and understand what it's important to protect right now. It's important to protect your heart. It's important to protect your personal business. If you have a business, the structure that you're building, the influence that you have upon yourself and around the magic in life right now, and how everything intertwines, what you're offering, how that's changing you, and how much you're okay with just taking what you have and putting it out there and utilizing it, and realizing that you're doing something, you're refining a skill that's refining you and making you not even more like enjoyable for yourself to be around, but wait until next month when everyone wants to be around you and you're like, I'm good. I just want to do this, and this. You can come, you can go. It's whatever to me. Like this feeling is powerful, but it doesn't come without warning. We talked a lot about the ego, bottom of the deck. It's being refined. And it causes for discipline. It's a cause for understanding yourself. It's a cause for learning how to roll with what's happening. It's learning that the things that trickle out after putting boundaries up, or after saying something and really meaning it and rolling with it, is that life's going to roll out for you. Life's going to roll out and also pull in and push out and pull in. And the Cancer season really shows you this more than ever. I think you're just so keenly aware at this point that you share as you go. You're changing as you go. You still feel very flexible and malleable from last month. It almost didn't phase you as much as it phased other people. It wasn't as confusing for you. It actually just showed you what needs to be sharpened. You didn't take it personal. What needs to be sharpened, what doesn't. Where you've gotten acknowledgement, where you need it, where you need to appreciate yourself. It's always like boom, 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 boom. And it's just, the important part is to have compassion for yourself. Give yourself time. Like, I'm talking so much. Give yourself time. Give yourself a moment with yourself, with the change, with the feeling, with how you feel, with how you make other people feel, how people can feel bad, even if you're not trying to, just because you're right, or you know something they don't, or you're doing something they're not. It's not your fault. You're just doing what you do. And you may find that a really beautiful opportunity meets you here after this moment, after a huge realization. This connection that you have is the driving force behind it all. Because Cancer is asking you to let go. Let go of what you no longer want to be possessed by. Not that you are possessed, but are controlled by. And that's thinking about time, habits, surroundings, your internal nature, your conversation. And normally it's probably with you, it's like, I'm the shit, and it should be. However, things change drastically. So this month, taking from what you see from the external forces and reworking it internally. Knowing that you got this, and you can be shaped just as much as you shape, just as much as you oversee. you can take a step back and look, yet not be dragged. You have the power, and you have the power to see clearly and not deceive yourself. You have the power of refinement, Leo. All right? And we will see you next month in your season. Happy early birthday. All information again is below. Yeah.